Welcome to The Explainer. So today we are diving into a really pivotal moment in history. It's a passage from the book of Acts that's basically the blueprint for an entire global movement. You could call it the final briefing, right? The ultimate handover of a mission that was literally about to change the world.
All right, let's get right into it. So picture this. After 40 days of appearing to his disciples after the resurrection, you'd probably expect some big, grand farewell speech. But nope. His very last command was actually something pretty unexpected, something that honestly creates a ton of tension right from the start.
He told them to wait. I mean, can you imagine that? The mission is ready to launch. The leader is on his way out, and the final instruction is to just pause. But, this wasn't some idle delay. This was a crucial, absolutely strategic preparation for everything that was about to unfold.
And this right here brings us to the most important question of all. What exactly were they waiting for? This was no passive delay. The pause itself was packed with purpose, and it was all rooted in these ancient prophecies and promises. They were waiting to be baptized with the Holy Spirit. This was the big one. It was the fulfillment of what prophets like Joel and Ezekiel had talked about for ages. This promise that God's own Spirit would be poured out. Think of it as an internal power source, the essential ingredient, the very engine for the huge mission that was right in front of them. But just before this world-changing mission is totally revealed, the disciples, they show their hand. They prove they're still thinking in old categories, still operating on a really old playbook. Right in the middle of this crucial briefing, they interrupt him with this question. And it just reveals their entire worldview, It's a worldview that's completely wrapped up in this hope for a political, a national restoration. They were still thinking about kicking Rome out.
And this just brilliantly highlights the total disconnect. See, they're asking when. They're focused on a timeline for getting a political kingdom back. But Jesus is about to shift their focus completely to what? To a spiritual task that needs to start right now. He doesn't just shoot down their hope, but he totally reorients it.
He basically tells them, look, that's not for you to know. The timing is what you might call a necessary mystery. And trying to predict it, that's just a distraction. So he pivots them hard away from speculating about the future and toward their immediate world-changing assignment. So after he gets them looking in the right direction, Jesus finally lays out the blueprint itself. And it has two absolutely critical parts: the power they're going to need and the plan they're going to follow.
The power they're promised is dynamis, which, is where we get our word dynamite. This isn't about, self-help or just finding your inner strength. This is about receiving an explosive, divine power that would make this impossible task actually possible for these guys, who, let's be honest, had been called out for their weak faith before. And then, here's the plan. It's a brilliant strategic roadmap that also happens to perfectly outline the rest of the book of Acts. The mission starts at the epicenter, Jerusalem. Then it expands, kind of like a ripple in a pond, out to the surrounding region, Judea and Samaria, even to the people they considered outcasts. And finally, to the entire world.
So what's their job in all this? To be witnesses. Now, the Greek word here is martyres, which is the root of our modern word, martyr. And wow, that just powerfully foreshadows the incredible cost of this mission. They weren't just being asked to tell a story. They were being called to become a living testimony of everything they had seen and heard. So, with the blueprint delivered and the mission assigned, the final handover happens in the most dramatic way you can imagine. And this isn't an ending. It's a powerful transition, a new beginning. This isn't some sad farewell party. This is a coronation. As he's lifted up, it signifies his enthronement as the reigning Lord. It's the fulfillment of these ancient prophecies, like the one in Daniel 7 where the Son of Man ascends to receive everlasting dominion. It's a huge moment.
So the disciples are just left there, staring up into the clouds, probably in total awe, and then two angels appear. And their first words are this gentle but really firm, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's a call to shift their focus from passively gazing at where he went to actively getting started on the mission they just received.
And then the angels give them the ultimate motivation, this promise that the same Jesus will come back in the same way. That's what anchors their entire mission. It gives them this solid hope that's going to fuel them through all the unbelievable challenges that are waiting for them.
So what does all this mean? What's the takeaway? Well, this ancient blueprint fundamentally redefines the mission, not just for those first disciples, but really for every generation that comes after.
Just look at this shift. The entire concept of God's kingdom was completely redefined in this one moment. The disciples, they were expecting a kingdom that was tied to a political territory. Instead, they got a global, spirit-led movement. They were hoping for military power. They were promised the divine dynamis of the Spirit. They were longing for national restoration. Their goal became personal testimony, expanding one person at a time.
And ultimately, these final words, they leave us with a challenge that just echoes through time. They force us to shift our focus away from a timeline that, let's face it, we can't know, and onto a mission that starts today. The real question isn't when will the world be fixed? It's where will my witness begin? In my own Jerusalem, my own Samaria, and all the way to the ends of the earth.